YouTube has continued to attack alternative media by demonetizing most of our videos. If you'd like to support the channel, please visit our Amazon store or our Patreon page. Links below. Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel, and I'm not gonna lie, I've honestly tried to move away from like this Me Too, Time's Up stuff. I just feel like at this point it is, as Liam Neeson says, an absolute witch hunt, and it just keeps happening and happening and happening, and the people out there that are propagating this aren't going to stop. They're just not going to stop. And over the course of the weekend, we had a couple big accusations coming out. One from Eliza Dushku saying that her or that the stunt coordinator on True Lies back in 1994 assaulted her when she was only 12 years old. It's a pretty in-depth description of what happened. And his response is, that's not how I recall it at all. So now it goes back to what he says, she says. And now we've got Aziz Ansari, Tom Haverford from Parks and Rec, Dev from Master of None, a big popular show on Netflix, having been accused of sexual misconduct. However, depending on the article you look at, it could be described as either sexual misconduct or sexual harassment or sexual assault. And at this point, I don't think any of it really matters. But if you look at the account that is being retold, it brings up some very interesting things. And that's brought up a couple very interesting discussions. Some people view it as, yes, it was in fact sexual harassment or sexual misconduct. Others view it as just a date that's gone wrong, with a person not necessarily exercising their individual rights to leave. And it's interesting. So I thought we would take a quick look at the more salacious parts of the article and go from there. Now, the article appeared on babe.net, and it's titled, "I went on a date with Aziz Ansari. It turned into the worst night of my life." Now, the 20-something photographer who has made the accusation has withheld her identity from being published. Babe.net, the people who did put out the article, have done so as a way to protect it. And I understand that. I do understand that. But I also say this for everything. If you're going to make these accusations, you have to be able to put your name and your face out there in order to make them. Otherwise, there will be scrutiny, there will be doubt, and people simply won't believe you. And that is kind of a fair amount of what's happening here. And it does make the conversation very difficult to have. James Franco was accused the other day multiple things on social media, and he denied them. And Stephen Colbert responded with, where can where is a good place to have these conversations outside of social media? Because ultimately, in these particular situations, it becomes opinions over facts, feels over reals, and it really distorts any kind of objective viewing of the situation as a whole, because nobody wants to be objective when looking at this particular situation. Now, in the story, this is what she says happens in the first part of it. After getting dinner, they walked 2 blocks back to his apartment building, an exclusive address on Tribeca's Franklin Street, where Taylor Swift has a place too. When they walked in, she complimented the marble countertops. According to Grace, Ansari turned the compliment into an invitation. He said something along the lines of, "How about you hop up and take a seat?" Within moments, he was kissing her. In a second, his hand was on my breast. He then was undressing her. He then undressed himself. She remembers feeling uncomfortable at how quickly things escalated. When Ansari told her he was going to grab a condom within the first minutes of their kiss, Grace voiced her hesitation explicitly, saying something like, "Whoa, let's relax for a second, chill." She says he then resumed kissing her, briefly performed oral sex on her, and then asked her to do the same thing to him. She did, but not for long. It was really quick. Everything was pretty much touched and done within 10 minutes of hooking up, except for actual sex. She says Ansari began making a move on her he repeated during their encounter. The move he kept doing was taking his 2 fingers in a V shape and putting them in my mouth, in my throat to wet his fingers, because the moment he'd stick his fingers in my throat, he'd go straight for my vagina and try to finger me. Grace called the move the claw. Okay, so looking at that, they go to dinner, right? He basically says, yeah, let's get the check, let's get out of here. They go to his apartment, start making out right away. They undress each other within a few minutes. It plays out like a scene from a romantic comedy or romantic movie of people in the throes of passion. And that does happen, actually. That does happen quite a bit. Now, they start making out. They get naked. He says he's going for a condom. She's like, no, hold on here. They perform oral sex on each other. See, that's the thing right there, is they're naked and they're already performing oral. So at this point, consent is pretty much perceived. No one has said no. No one has said stop, right? I mean, nonverbal cues are one thing, but the actual verbal usage of the cues are not. So you can see where this is getting confusing, where this is getting muddled. And apparently after about 10 minutes of going back and forth without so many words, they basically said that she performed oral, he finished, and it was done within about 10 minutes. And then it turned into basically kind of like a Seinfeld and Chill situation, to where he was still trying to like go for round two. And they're still naked, by the way. They're still naked. They're on his couch. She goes to the bathroom to compose herself. She comes out. He points to his penis. She goes and performs oral on him again. At no point during this are you hearing, stop, no, don't. And that's the thing. And that's the issue here that I think a lot of people are having. I believe the situation it's a tough read, because you're going like, because it feels it's intimate, right? And people's intimate lives are always kind of hard to kind of jump into, but it's an intimate situation. And it really does look like they just had this really kind of horrible, awkward sexual encounter, at least on her end. But, he was just kind of acting like a horny, teenager, and everything else. And that's kind of where it was, maybe over aggressive, but at no point was she verbally saying she wasn't into it. Now, granted, like 80% of our communication is done through nonverbal cues. So it is hard when you bring up the concept of harassment, and affirmative consent. Where are the lines? Where is that crossing there? That's the thing you never really see. That's what you never really hear about. And of course, she left there a little bit later. She texted her friends. Her friends apparently corroborated the story with babe.net, because this is what she had told them when this event happened back in September. And then the weirdest thing happened is he sent her a text the next morning before she could respond, or kind of like tell him that he did something wrong. And again, this is a little bit odd to me, just to be perfectly honest. And well, let's see what it says. Aziz says, "Hey, it was fun meeting you last night. I just dropped my roll of film today. Fingers crossed for some solid shots." She responds, "Hey Aziz, nice meeting you too. I hope you got some good shots on the roll. Last night might have been fun for you, but it wasn't for me. When we got back to your place, you ignored clear nonverbal cues. You kept going with advances. You had to have noticed I was uncomfortable. I just want to take this moment to make you aware of this behavior and how uneasy it made me. Really think back to last night. You may have said, 'It's okay, only fun if we're both enjoying it. Let's just chill.' But within moments that your finger were down my throat, you were putting my hand on your dick continuously. It's like nothing changed even after I expressed that I'd like to slow down. It may have seemed okay, but I didn't feel good at all. All day I've been playing it over. I'm realizing how much it affected me. I want to make sure you're aware, so maybe the next girl doesn't have to cry on the ride home. Good luck on your movie. Thank you for dinner." And Aziz responded, "I'm so sad to hear this. All I can say is it would never be my intention to make you or anyone feel the way you described. Clearly, I misread things in the moment, and I'm truly sorry." And this ultimately is where the situation gets tricky, because how does one approach this particular thing? She claims that she was uncomfortable. He apparently had no idea. They continued to make out. They continued to fool around. She performed oral sex on him twice. They never actually ended up having sex, but she felt like she was violated, and she got up and she left. Now, is this a story? Is this a big issue? And to some people it is, obviously, when looking at the Me Too movement and Time's Up and things like that. But it just feels like a date that went wrong. I think we've all had bad hookup sessions. I've had some bad hookup sessions when I was younger, and I'm at no point in time am I going to sit there and go and talk about it anonymously with a website in order to shame someone who it was a bad encounter with. I feel like these things are just making it out to be more than what it is. And given where we are right now, that's just where things are. I have a feeling that any dude in Hollywood right now is really questioning anyone they get with, simply because they are going to be really wondering, like, if they're going to be accused of something down the road, or if there's going to be a misunderstanding or a miscommunication that then, based upon the current culture, is going to then be told that, no, you were assaulted, you were harassed, there was misconduct, you need to report this. And oftentimes I do believe that is the case. I think people are told that it is what it is, or even though it may not be ultimately, or that may not be their original feelings over the issue. And I've had that happen to me too, where, like, people have tried imprinting these ideas that, like, over a situation where people have tried saying, oh no, it was bigger and crazier than what it was, based upon who was around me and who was trying to make the situation bigger, and for whatever reason they're trying to do it. Given how these particular stories, when they break, depending on the outlet that's pushing it, they get a lot of clicks, they get a lot of views. I'm almost at a point now where there are reporters that are seeking out these kind of stories in order to be able to publish them because they know what it will bring. I really do. I don't think people publish these as a way to necessarily protect people. I think they're doing it as a way to probably just get their clicks. And you know what? I talk about these issues. And so, yeah, I mean, you can kind of see what's going on. But that being said, because of the way the system works and the way that people are generating income and attention in this day and age, there's one thing about this that did really bother me. And there's a line in there that towards the beginning where they talk about how they're able to corroborate the number, Aziz's cell phone number, with a public registry phone number. Now, that seems really odd to me, because when I worked in Hollywood, when I worked for the flower shop that sold flowers to celebrities all the time, they're changing their number constantly. They're always, protecting their privacy. I don't think Aziz would have a publicly listed number. That would be a cell phone. Now, if he bought an apartment and it's apparently in the same place that Taylor Swift owns, has a place, then you figure that their landline would be locked down. They wouldn't, all that information would be taken care of. Their privacy would be protected. So him having his number that's publicly corroborated, I just find that to be highly suspect and highly questionable. Now, so far, Aziz has not responded to this. His publicist, his people haven't responded to this. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if this story is going to blow up, especially him coming off of him winning the Golden Globe this week for Master of None while wearing a Time's Up pin, if that's going to have any impact on his career with Netflix or the future of the series. Netflix at this point has basically been distancing themselves from anyone who's been accused. They did this with Kevin Spacey, obviously. Danny Masterson was written off of the ranch after being accused of sexual assault. And now we've got Aziz Ansari, who is the star of a very, very popular show that is winning awards. And I'm wondering if they're going to cancel the series based upon this ultimately anonymous accusation. And that is where Hollywood is right now. It is sad. It is scary. And it's only going to get worse. I understand that there are scumbags in the system. I understand that there are scumbags out there that want to hurt people, men and women. And it is up to people to call them out. But it has to be done the right way. It has to be done through the police, through the justice system, due process. Because all this is doing, a random tweet going out and could destroy someone's career, whether they deserve it or not. And that's where I look at this story. That's how I view this story. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's a bad date that went wrong. It's her interpretation. If they had that one night and then they went on about their business and then that was that, then that's that. Now the real question is going to be, are anyone else going to come up and make those claims against Aziz? And then that will only make the situation blow up even further. I don't know. But people are, and what I've seen, by the way, out of this response I've seen is, well, that just makes sense. Look at all the other creepers that were on Parks and Recreation. It's the immediate confirmation bias. It's once the accusation is levied, people go, well, they knew this person who did this thing. They clearly are as bad. And that is, I think, where a lot of it's coming from. So again, it's an odd situation. I'm very curious to know your guys' thoughts on this one. Let me know in the comments. They should be fun. My name is, of course, Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel. If you haven't already, thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, check back often for more content from me. If you'd like to support the channel, by all means, you can do so. Links below in the video description. Or if you just want to watch more content, you can do that right now.